So let's start with the Z buffer, which is also known as a depth buffer algorithm. Both the algorithm that we are going to see, Z buffer and depth buffer, both are very simple algorithms. So Z buffer or buffer algorithm or the method for which purpose it is used. So normally it is used to identify and remove of the hidden surfaces. Identify and removal of the hidden surfaces. So when viewing a picture containing non-transparent object, non-transparent means opaque object, for example our book, your laptop, whatever the surfaces which are non-transparent, we call that opaque objects and surfaces. It is not possible to see those objects from view which are behind from the objects closer to eye. For example, if we consider this diagram, there are three surfaces or three objects are there, S1, S2, S3. And suppose in this direction our eye is there. Then the S1 is the first object or which is closer to eye that we can see, but the surfaces which are behind these are not actually visible, totally visible. Only some part of that object is visible. So here in this, the identification and removal of these surfaces is called the hidden surface problem. To get a realistic screen image, removal of these hidden surfaces is required. We need to remove all these hidden surfaces so that we can get the realistic image. In this diagram, so first we identify this entire surface. It is totally visible, but this surface, it is some part is visible because it is hidden behind this. From this, it is hidden, S3 is hidden again behind these two surfaces. So some part may be visible or it may be possible that the entire object is not visible. So removal of all these hidden surfaces is important. Why? Because we need the realistic screen images. And that identification and removal of surfaces is called the hidden surface problem. Z-buffer, which is also known as a depth buffer method, is one of commonly used method for hidden surface detection. Z-buffer algorithm we are going to use for hidden surface problem or detection of the hidden surface. It is an image space method. Normally, Z is represented as the depth. So whenever we see any object, we first consider x and y coordinates. So x and y coordinates represent the position, pixel position of that object on the screen. For example, if we consider this is my laptop screen. So this stops sharing, this has some pixels indicate x and y coordinate. Here you can see some objects here or some menus here, so that all are taken some pixel position and which are represented with x and y coordinate. So whenever there is a third coordinate we need to identify the depth, then we use the z axis. So in cube example we have seen. So in cube example, along with x and y coordinate, z coordinate is used there. It is for or it represents the depth. So here also z axis is used to represent the depth. So in Z-buffer method, each surface is processed separately, one position at a time across the surface. Each surface, multiple surfaces are there, then every surface is separately processed using the method of algorithm. So after the depth values, that is Z value always considered as a depth value for a pixel are compared, and closest surface determine the color to be displayed in the frame buffer. So in this example, there are three surfaces. So for these three surfaces, Z value is considered. X and Y coordinate, these are the pixel values for X and Y coordinate. But Z value, see Z coordinate, Z value, it represents the depth of that surface. So here for this surface, the first depth is calculated. Then for this surface, the depth is calculated. And then this surface, the depth is calculated. And for according to that Z value, for S1, suppose there is a Z value is equal to 5. For S2, it is 7. It is 9. So accordingly, the Z value for a pixel are compared, and closest surface determine the color to be displayed in the frame buffer. So frame buffer, what is this frame buffer? What is this Z buffer? We are going to see in the next slide. So the closest, which is closest if it has if it has a value 5, okay, z value 5, it has the z value 7, and it has the z value 9. So among these, which is the closest? S1 is the closest. So it's the color, polygon color, whatever the surface color, it is stored in the frame buffer. And then remaining 7 and 9, these among these, all the pixels are considered, and whatever that required, that values are stored in the frame buffer. So in this way, the Z value is compared for all the surfaces, and the closest one is considered as the value which is stored in the frame buffer, not Z value. The X and Y values are stored in the frame buffer or the color of that surface. So here the closest surface determine the color to be displayed in the frame buffer. So in this, suppose it has a red color. Okay, suppose it has a red color. Then this one has a blue color. Okay, S2, and this one has a yellow color, S3. Then Z value, it's a Z value indicate that it is a closest surface. So that color of that surface of that polygon, it is stored in the frame buffer to be displayed, and then the remaining accordingly whatever visible, it is not exactly visible, it is not visible, so whatever the pixels visible, that only shown stored in the frame buffer. So let S1, S2, S3, the same example, are the surfaces. The surface closest to the projection plane is called visible surface. So in this example, S1, S2, S3, S1 is the closest surface, and that's why it is a visible surface. So the computer would start with surface 1 arbitrarily. Start with the surface 1, put its value into the buffer. There are two buffers used, frame buffer and Z buffer. So the value of this S1, which surface 1 is start with the surface 1 and put that value into the buffer. It would do the same for the next surface. Then it takes this value, put into the buffer. It would then check each overlapping pixel. Means these pixels are overlap with this pixel. So which one is the closer to the viewer, that are stored in the frame buffer, and that color is displayed. Appropriate color is displayed. In this S1, suppose this part is visible, only this part is visible. It is not possible to exactly show. In the next example, we'll see. Suppose this part is only visible in S2, then that only stored in the frame buffer. Okay. So what is closer to the viewer? So it would then check each of overlapping pixel and check to see which one is closer to the viewer, and then display the appropriate color. As at view plane position XY, surface S1 has smallest depth from the view plane, so it is visible at that point. S1 is visible. S2 and S3 overlapping, all pixels are considered, and only which are visible, that are stored in the frame buffer. So how the Z buffer algorithm work? For that, two buffers are used. In this method, two buffers are used. First one is the frame buffer, which is also called as a refresh buffer, which store the attributes, intensity or shade of each pixel in the image. Means the color of that pixel, color of that polygon pixel, color of that pixel on the surface is stored in the frame buffer. Intensity of that color, shade of that color, whatever, X, Y coordinate, all are stored in the frame buffer. In the Z buffer, the second one is buffer used is the Z buffer or depth buffer, store the Z coordinate or depth of every pixel. So as I told that the Z coordinate is considered, find out, and that value stored in the Z buffer. So always remember that in this there are two buffers are used, frame buffer or Z buffer. Frame buffer store the color, intensity, shade, whatever the value of each pixel, and Z buffer store the Z coordinate, only Z coordinate or depth of every pixel. A Z buffer is a two-dimensional array of real numbers of the same size as the frame buffer. Why? Because the same number of pixels are considered. Means if there are 100 pixels, then the frame buffer stores the 100 pixel colors, Either it is a polygon color, either it is a background color, whatever, but that frame buffer store the color of 100 pixels, and frame buffer store, and Z buffer store the Z value of that 100 pixels. And that's why the size of frame buffer and Z buffer is same for every pixel, every surface, for every polygon. A Z buffer algorithm can convert the entire face at a time into both frame buffer and Z buffer. So in this algorithm, the frame buffer and Z buffer both are implemented, or both are used or change their value. So one value is stored in the frame buffer. At the same time, in the Z buffer, that pixel Z value is stored. The Z coordinate value is stored. Depth of that every pixel is stored in the Z buffer. And Z buffer. So how this value is calculated? The depth value of the surface position xy are calculated from the plane equation for each surface. So z is equal to minus ax minus by minus d divided by c. So that a, b, c, d, b, and c in the part of the curve. Okay, so normally consider degree 3, x raised to 3. So accordingly, a, b, c, d values are there. So using that value, the z value is calculated for the plane surface. Depth value across the edge. So for any surface, here it is edge, correct? So that edge depth value is calculated with this equation, second equation. And depth value down the edge are recursively calculated with the help of slope. Slope of the edge, correct? If there is a edge, the edge has some slope. So here you can observe that this edge is different slope, this edge is different slope. So in this way, the slope of the edge is used to calculate the z value. So these are the equations used to calculate the z values. Now we are going to see the algorithm. So here there are two arrays. I told you previously that frame buffer and z buffer. So frame buffer store the x and y coordinate, which are the colors, and z buffer store the z value. Again, these are stored as a two-dimensional, both x and y values. Begin. Initialize the frame buffer to background color. So initially all the frame buffer values, suppose there are 100 pixels. So all 100 pixels are stored with the background color. Whatever the background color, it is decided. Then initialize Z buffer. Frame buffer, it is initialized with the background color. Now the Z buffer. Z buffer, it is initially initialized to minus infinity. In some cases, it is initialized to plus infinity, depends upon the algorithm. So here we are considering the Z buffer initialized to minus infinity. Minus infinity means that is the smallest value. Minus infinity is the smallest value. So for each polygon, for each pixel xy in the polygon. So as I told that if there are 100 pixels, each and every pixel is considered here. For each pixel with xy in polygon, pz, the polygon's z value at xy, and this is calculated with these equations. So pz is the polygon's z value at the position x and y. So x and y positions, using this equation, the z value is calculated and it is stored in pz. If pz is greater than z buffer xy, initially it is initialized to minus infinity. If this is greater than minus infinity, then color of the polygon is stored in the frame buffer. Color of the polygon is stored in the frame buffer, means that is the visible pixel. That is the visible pixel, and that's why that pixel's color is stored in the frame buffer as a final picture. And the value that we have calculated, that pz value, the z value of xy is stored in the z buffer xy, means at that position of the pixel, this z buffer value is stored. See, for example, here in this, if we consider these are the pixels, initially all are stored with the background color. Okay, and then in this you can, this is the z buffer values. So -1, -2, -3, these are the z values calculated. These are the z values calculated at that particular pixel x and y. So again, I am repeating the algorithm. Two arrays are used, frame buffer and Z buffer. First, initialize the frame buffer to background color. Means all the pixels in the frame buffer are initialized to background color. Initialize the Z buffer to minus infinity. For each pixel, for each polygon, for each pixel in that polygon with XY coordinate, first calculate the Z value at that pixel. If this Z value is greater than minus infinity, whatever already in the Z buffer, not always minus infinity, it may be there the value already in the Z buffer. So if it is greater than the Z buffer, then frame buffer color of the polygon is assigned to the frame buffer and that Z value is stored in the Z buffer. So Z buffer value Pz is stored in the Z buffer, that current value. Now see, we are going to see it with the example. Suppose these are the initialize all the Z buffer with minus infinity. Okay, here this is initialized with minus infinity. So minus infinity 1, 2, 3, 4 and this 4. So total 16 pixels are considered here. So total 16 pixels are considered here. It is only the Z buffer. Okay, not frame buffer is shown here. Only the Z buffer. Frame buffer store the actual color of that polygon. So the Z buffer initialize all the pixels 16 pixel to the minus infinity and this is the Z values of the polygon. Suppose this is the Z value of the particular polygon. So these are the only pixels in the polygon. Now start with this pixel minus 4 minus infinity. Which is greater? Minus 4 is greater. Correct? So if Pz, in this case it is our Pz. And what is the value already in the Z buffer? Minus infinity. So which is greater? Pz is greater than the Z buffer value. So if Pz is greater than the Z buffer value, then in the Z buffer we have to store the minus 4. So here the minus 4 is stored at this position. Z buffer value minus 4 is stored. Next we start with this pixel. So the next Z buffer value is minus 5. Okay, minus 5 compared with this value. So here which is greater? Minus 5 is greater. So here the minus 5 value is stored. Next this one compared with this one, which is greater? Minus 6 is greater. Minus infinity is the smallest value, remember that. Then this one is compared with this one, minus 7. This one is compared with this one, minus 3. This one is compared with this one, minus 4. Then it is minus 5. Then this minus 2. And then this is minus 3. And this is minus 1. Okay. So in this way, when we combine this, the Z, all these are remaining as it is, minus infinity, because the polygon not cover this pixel. This cover only this number of pixels. Now see it with the animation. Minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, then minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 1. Okay. Now this one is compared with this one. So first this one compare with this one. Which is largest? Minus 6 or minus 5? Minus 5. So it is changed with minus 5. Then minus 7 is compared with minus 4. Which is largest? Minus 4. So this minus 7 is replaced with minus 4. Already Z value is minus 7. See here. So this is our result. After that, the next one, this second polygon is there. Up behind that, the second polygon is there, surface is there, and these are the Z values of the second surface. This is our first surface, this is our second surface. Now these Z values are compared again with all these 16 values. So start with this one. So minus 4, minus 7, which is the largest? Minus 4 is largest, and that by this Z buffer value is now replaced with this minus 4. Now this minus 5 is compared with this minus 6. So which is the largest? Minus 5 is the largest. So minus 5 is stored here. Now their minus infinity is compared with minus 3. -3 is compared with -infinity. Largest is -3, so -3 is stored here. -5 is compared with -4, so -4 is largest. Now -4 is compared with -5. Which is the largest? In this -4. So yellow polygon value you can see here. So -4 is stored. Next, this one compare with this one, the largest is -2. This one compare with this one, largest is -3. This one compared with this one, largest is, this one largest is -1. Now these two are the as it is background value remains as it is because no surface cover that pixel. So as it is, it remains the background value. Now suppose we are going to do in opposite way. First we consider the polygon, this polygon. Okay, so start with -7, -6, -5, -4, then -3, -3, 2, -2, -1. Okay, now this polygon is compared. So this one or this one. So which is the smallest? Largest, -4. This one, which is the largest? -5. This one. The -5 is largest, so kept as it is. So here in this first, second surface and then this surface, if it is there, then -4 is compared with infinity, so all are always greater than -infinity, so as it is there. Now the next surface is considered. So if we compare this one with this one, -4 is largest, so it is stored. If we compare this one with this one, -5, -5 compared with -6, -5 is largest, so as it is, it remains. -4 compared with -7, so -4 is largest, so remains as it is. So in this way, this one compared with this one, -3 is largest, it is there. -5 is compared with -4, so -4 is stored here. So again at the end you can see these two pixels remains as a background color and remaining pixels are the Z values of the surface number 1 and surface number 2, and in the frame buffer the actual color of that pixel is stored. If yellow color of the pixel in the frame buffer, yellow color at that position is or that pixel is stored, and here the gray color for that pixel is stored, and the remaining these two pixels as the background color. So that is the result of the frame buffer, and this is the result of the Z buffer. That is a simple example of Z buffer. Now the advantage and disadvantage. So easy to implement. You already see that there are only two buffers. Pixel values are stored. So in simple calculations are there. So easy to implement. Fast with hardware support. Fast depth buffer memory. Not sorting of objects required. No sorting of objects is required. In any way, if you see here, first surface and then second surface is used. Here second and then first, even if the result is same. So not required to sort the objects. No object to object comparison is required. Direct object to object comparison is not there. The method is simple to use and does not require additional data structure, means the such as a stack, list. So as kind of data structure is not required. Additional data structure is not required. This method can be executed quickly even with many polygons. Any number of polygons, it is executed quickly. Then the disadvantage, extra memory is required as a for Z buffer, but it is not a big advantage. Why? Because the pixel value is stored there, so not such a big disadvantage, but only that it requires two buffers. Buffer, what is buffer? Buffer is the reserved space of memory to store the data temporarily. It is the main memory storage. So here extra memory is required for Z buffer. Wastage of time may occur because of drawing of hidden objects, means the objects which are hidden that also compared. Only used for opaque surface, means non-transparent surface it is used, not for transparent objects it is used. That are the advantages and disadvantages of the Z buffer algorithm. So Warnack algorithm, which is also known as area subdivision algorithm. Its name subdivision is there. So Warnack or area subdivision algorithm, first we'll see what is it. It's a definition, simple definition and the properties. It was invented by John Warnack and also called, and that's why it is called as a Warnack algorithm. And according to its work, it is known as area subdivision algorithm. So it is invented by John Warnack and that's why it is called Warnack algorithm. It is based on divide and conquer method. So simple divide and conquer method means that first any problem if you are given, you first divide into two parts. If these two parts, if the problem is big problem, it is difficult to solve that problem within a single attempt, then in that case divide it into two parts. Solve the first part, second part if it is small one. Otherwise, again divide it into that two parts again divided into next two parts. Again divided into next two parts until the problem becomes the small one with very less complexity. Okay, until the problem becomes small one. And these small problems are solved individually and the results are combined together or conquer together. So that is known as divide and conquer method. So it is based on divide and conquer method. It uses fundamentals of area coherence. It is used to resolve the visibility algorithm, which part is visible, which part to be, how to define that color of that particular polygon. The total viewing area is successfully divided into smaller and smaller rectangles until each small area is simple. And that's why it is known as divide and conquer method. Means what? Here you can observe that this entire polygon or this area is divided into first 4 parts. Then again if required this is divided into next 4 parts. Then again it is divided into next 4 parts. So in this way these are done smaller rectangles until each small area is simple, means it is a single pixel or it is covered wholly by a part of a single visible surface or no surface at all. Okay, means background color. No surface at all means there is no surface, then it's a background color. Again, it is used for the same purpose as we have seen in the Z buffer to identify the visible surface. If there are multiple surface, hidden surfaces are there, then which part is visible? Actually, that we are going to identify and remove the hidden surfaces. So for that purpose, this algorithm is also used. And in this case, it is divided into smaller rectangle until it is a single pixel. It is covered wholly by a single part of a single visible surface. Only one surface if it is covered, then we stop there. And no surface at all means the background color. Warnack's algorithm is a recursive area subdivision algorithm, and that's why it is known as recursive area subdivision algorithm. Recursively divide it into multiple parts. That is shown here in this diagram also. The first original, which is divided into 4 parts A, B, C, D. Again, every part is divided into 4 parts A, B, C, D,
आपण
A, B,
लगेच
C, D, A, B,
पडलो की
C, D.
तर पाणी थोडंफार.
So again, these 4 parts are divided into A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So in this way, 16 parts are generated. Again, if required, this first part you can observe here it is divided into 4 parts. Again, this first part if required is divided into remaining 4 parts. So in this way, the subdivisions are done. Recursive subdivisions are done as per the requirement. Now the next. The procedure to determine whether we should subdivide an area into smaller rectangle in small rectangle is, okay, see, first we need to determine whether we have to divide this sub area into sub area, whether we have to divide into this area, whether how it is decided. For that, first we classify the area. We classify each surface according to their relation with the area. So this one is the area and in which the surfaces are there. So there are 4 types or classifications of this surface and the relation with the area. So as with the diagram, it is easy to understand. First, surrounding surface means a single surface completely enclose the area. So in this area, you can see this area is completely enclosed in this surface. So it has only one color, green color. Not necessary to think, not necessary to divide into parts. Why? Because that area is wholly covered with that surface. So surrounding surface, a single surface completely encloses the area. Overlapping surface, a single surface that is partially inside, partially outside. So can we say that this area is with green color? No, we need to divide it into parts. Now we can say this is only green color, this is only, sorry, green color. But these two are not. Why? Because these are not totally covered. This is partially again inside and partially outside the area. This also partially inside and outside. So in this way. Next, the next classification is the inside surface. Means that polygon or the surface, a single surface that is completely inside the area. Not possible to decide whether to give the green color for the entire area. No. So we need to divide it into parts. So inside surface, a single surface that is completely inside the area, and outside surface, a single surface that is completely outside this area. So here the background color remains as it is. Background color remains as it is. Not necessary to divide it into parts. So according to this classification, we will decide whether to divide that area into sub part. So simply in this not required, in this not required to divide into sub area, but in these cases it is required that area to divide into sub parts. Now the second step, first step we have to classify, means we have to identify whether our area belongs to this type, this type, this type or this type. Second, at each stage of the algorithm, examine the area. If no polygon lie within the area is filled with the background color. That I told. No polygon is within the area. All the polygons are outside. So, background color is assigned to this area. If only one polygon is in the part of the area is first filled with the background color and then with the polygon color. So, here in this so first the area is filled with the background color, and as it all the area is filled with single polygon, so it is filled with the color of the polygon, not necessary the division. If one polygon surrounds the area, it is in front of any other polygon, the entire area is filled with the color of the surrounding polygon. Otherwise, subdivide the area and repeat above 4 steps. Again divide it into multiple parts and repeat whether it their area is totally blank, no surface is there, then assign it the background color. If area has totally the surface color, then assign the color first background color and then the surface color. If not, again divide it into subparts and again repeat the steps. So subdivisions continues until all areas meet one of the 4 criteria, and on area is a pixel size until that area becomes a pixel size. So we are going to continue. Subdivision continues. The example is shown here. First start with this. We consider that there are 2 triangles, okay, with background color blue, and this triangle has the color red and this triangle has the pink color. Now first all area filled with the background color. Okay. Now we know that in this visible, these 2 triangles are there. We are going to see whether these are visible or not visible. Which part is visible, that only we are going to display the color of that part. Now these 2 triangles, first we need to divide it into subparts. Okay. Now initially, can we give the same color to all this? No. Why? Because these are inside these 2 polygons, these 2 surfaces are inside the area, and that's why we cannot give here the color of the polygon as it is. Initially we give the background color and we need to divide it into parts. Now once we divide it into parts, these 4 subdivisions are there. Now, if we observe that this area, is there any other polygon? No, there is a single polygon in this. So we assign it the color of this triangle red. Then here it is covered with only one. So assign the color of this triangle. Assign the color of the triangle. But here there are two polygons with this area. Here, this is the first one part of this red triangle and the entire pink. So again, we need to divide this one into or subdivide it into four. Now, once we subdivide, you can observe that this area contains a single polygon. This area contains a single polygon. So we assign the pink color. But this one we cannot assign the color. Why? Because again, this area has two polygons. This area totally background color as it is. There is no polygon in this area. So total background color. Now this one has this part of this rectangle and this has this part of this red rectangle. So we cannot give it direct color. Why? There are two different colors. Again, that's why it is divided into subparts. Now when we divide into subparts, this part has totally pink color, one polygon. So assign the pink color. And this polygon contains, this area contains only one polygon value, that is red color. And in this way, the entire picture is at the end we will get with the area subdivision algorithm. Another example is also there. So Warnack algorithm, another example is given here. Now in this case, what happens? The surfaces are, you can see there are two surfaces which are one green surface is behind the pink surface, and that's why the green surface is not visible totally. Some part of the green surface is visible and some part of the entire this one is visible, but the green surface is, this part is not visible. In the green surface, this part is not visible. Only these two parts are visible. And that's why, and there are three surfaces you can observe. There are three polygons you can observe in this entire area. So not possible to give the direct color. So divide it into subparts. So you can observe here. First it is divided into part. Now this color is given directly because this area contains only one polygon, and that's why this color is given. But here there is no polygon, so background color is given. Whatever. Here white color is considered, so background white color is given here for this area. Now when we start with this area, it has two polygons, not possible to give direct color. So again divided into four parts. This one has the background color, this one has the background color. So when we observe this area, what happens here? It has the single polygon, green color is there. So problem solved. But in this again there are two parts of the polygon, you can see. Two different polygons are there in this area. So not possible to give the direct color. So again divided into subparts. So when divided into subparts, you can observe this area has this single color, this area has this single color, and that's why pink color is given. But this area has again two colors. So again it is divided into two subparts. Again this one is divided into subparts. So in this way, this also need to be divided into subparts. So in the way, the subdivision is done until a single pixel remains or the area contains a single polygon. Similarly, you can observe here, it is first divided into subparts. Again, whenever required, that is divided into subparts. That is about the Warnack algorithm and the Z-buffer algorithm. Both are used to identify the hidden surfaces and remove that hidden surfaces. So Z-buffer algorithm is one of the simplest algorithm for the removal of hidden surfaces.